got a new lens, I got a brand new mindset. Yeah, manifest my dreams before I ever see my eyelids. All the drugs got me mindless, memories be priceless. New way type shit, this a brand new mindset. Ay, in the jungle, look at me like how the hell you ain't died yet. I went to higher places like I'm God sent. This a brand new mindset and I've been feeling brand new.
What's up, y'all? Thank you for tuning in to another Musicians on Gigs video. And today it is my pleasure to introduce you to one of the most amazing, talented artists slash producers that I've been able to work with. No lie, seriously. This is Raimie. And I actually met Raimie through his mom. I moved to LA out of nowhere and she was someone who I met. We were both roommates in a house that we were renting, and she wasn't just the typical mom who's like really proud of their child, you know, just whatever they do. She really had a lot of reason to be proud because he's really talented, really dope performer, really dope artist and lyricist, and also, just like myself, a producer. So for a while, I wanted to get him on camera so I can introduce him to you guys. And thank you for saying yes.
Of course.
So we're going to do what we do on Musicians on Gigs and ask a couple questions, and I hope you guys tune in. So, Raimie, where are you from?
From the 201, New Jersey.
Okay.
Teaneck is my hometown. It's about 10 minutes on the bridge to New York City.
Okay.
And yeah, born and raised there. Lived there basically all throughout my life until the end of high school. Stayed in New Jersey even for college too.
Okay.
But yeah, born and raised in the 201.
201, how you doing? And what brought you out here to LA?
I mean, music over everything for sure. Just knowing that this was kind of like a hub for music and a good place for artists who are, you know, trying to find their career and, you know, their following and everything like that. I thought this was a great place to do it. You know, fresh opportunity, something new, change coast, East Coast to West, so.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. And of course, when you came out here, you didn't know that there was going to be a pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? So how has the pandemic affected you and your dreams of coming out here to be a musician?
Yeah, it's weird. The pandemic is a tough time. I think that a lot of the reason why I came out here was for connections, to meet people, and that's obviously really tough right now.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to have lived in a house of creatives, so I've met a lot of people that way.
Okay.
You know, and it takes away the ability to go out to studios and, you know, have a mob of people at your music video or whatever it is, but still the basic stuff you could always do, you know, and just staying on top of my writing and my production and my editing and things like that, and, you know, working with the artists that I have met out here and making sure that, you know, our work is good and we're making good progress. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So I've always been interested myself about those kind of creative spaces. Did you find that you met some really talented artists and you created something that you're really proud of? Do you feel like you created some really good stuff with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I generally point to two things. The first one I point to is the album that I produced for my friend Luke Ramel.
Luke Ramel?
Yeah, Luke Ramel. So the album's called 11th Street. I executive produced it. I produced a lot of the tracks. I engineered a lot of the tracks. It was my first time taking on it's like a pop soul type of album.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was blood, sweat, and tears for that one. But
that's exciting.
Yeah, the product came out really well. It came out, I believe, in December.
And it's on all social media platforms?
Yep, all social media, all streaming platforms. You can find it, Luke Ramel himself, yeah, on social media, just like that, Luke Ramel.
And the album is called 11th Street?
And the album is called 11th Street, yeah.
11. And what does that mean, 11th Street?
So 11th Street is actually the street that he grew up on.
Here?
No, back home. So he's from Louisiana.
Okay.
So he grew up on 11th Street back home. And when he was constructing the album, because he wrote all the songs, right? So he would come to me. He also plays guitar and piano. So he would come to me with the idea, and he would say, hey, look, this is, you know, the raw thing that I have going on. What do you think about this, right? And I kind of, as the songs evolved and I kept hearing more of them, I was like, wow, this is really deep and introspective, and it's about your roots, right?
Okay.
So I said to him, where are you from? Like, what's your, you know? He said, obviously I knew he was from Louisiana, but he said 11th Street is where I grew up, and I said, think about how crazy it is, because there were already planned 11 songs for the album.
Okay.
So I said, perfect. I think that's great, and yeah.
So have you spent more time as a lyricist yourself or as a producer?
It's a mix. I mean, I would say more a split between engineering and lyricism and writing. I actually have a dope producer. His name is Ben Schaffner. We collab all the time, sends me beats all the time. Me and him kind of have this, build our way to the top mentality. So
That's right. That's how you do it.
But I mean, I engineer all my songs.
Okay.
So that's, it's already 50-50 based on that.
Right.
That's
hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm the more production side, like, I got these creative ideas. But there's a scientist that has to come in place when it comes to actually engineering. It's math, it's numbers.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Practice. I was awful when I started, but same thing with rap though. When I started, I was awful. But there's certain things in life that are your passion, because you can suck at them and still love them and still want to do it more and just get better at it. So, I mean, for everybody watching, my first EP is still on SoundCloud.
What's it called?
It's a 2-sided EP. It's called one side's called Meraki and one side's called Wabi Sabi.
Okay.
And you'll hear, I mean, the editing on it's awful.
You did it all?
Yeah, I did all the editing, and I think the content's great, and the lyrics are great, and the message is great, but the editing's awful.
So why did you feel confident to put that out there into the world if you know for a fact that the editing is awful?
Because it's all about the growth. It's all about the growth.
I love it. I respect it. And you're going to keep it up there too.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
And the best part is why I say that is because you can go and check that out and you could hear the terrible editing, but then you could click on my newest song and you're going to hear a totally different thing.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, at least you could see the growth,
So let me ask you, what's your favorite song that you've done? Like, what's the song that you like? Anytime somebody say number one, which one would you always think of?
Man, here's the thing.
Raimie Special.
Here's the thing. My favorite song is not released. And to be honest with you, probably will never be released.
Oh my God. Tease.
I'm sorry. It's not like a Blue Boss thing or anything.
Oh my God.
It's a very emotional song and it's a very personal song. And I don't know if there's ever going to be a right time to necessarily release it.
Thank you for tuning in. This interview is over, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, out of everything I've released, I mean, Wildin' Out was my first song ever.
Okay.
So that's always special to me.
Wildin' Out. Is it
Out.
on the original EP?
It's not on the EP. It came out before the EP.
Okay. And what's it about besides Wildin' Out?
I mean, that's generally it. It's just about, it's a balance of wilding out, but also being real and in control and knowing, your destiny and what you're meant for and everything like that.
And you believe your destiny and what you're meant for is to do music?
Oh, yeah. I mean, way too much work at this point.
To turn back now?
Yeah, there's no turning back now, so...
So, okay, so look, you came out here when exactly to LA?
I came out here January last year, so January 2020.
So... did when you first got out here, did you get a chance to perform anywhere before the pandemic really shut everything down?
I literally so I came here and I stayed with my mom for a couple days.
Shout out to Liz.
Shout out.
Elise's
Big
son.
shout out.
Big shout out.
Stayed with my mom for a few days. I ended up moving into this place that was... It was almost like a movie, like when you end up in a new place and you
bad or good?
Comedy, like bad.
Oh,
like, yeah. It wasn't awful, but it was like, it was me and this middle-aged man, and we were not, very aligned in stuff. So by the time I got to the creative house that I started living in, I had about 2.5 weeks before the pandemic really hit.
Wow.
So I went out a few times, but I didn't really get to perform, and the collaboration stuff, meeting people, was pretty, limited. So
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so so you were working on original music with the people you were working with, vibing out, creating new stuff, and I know you worked on finishing a project with your friend 11th Street, but are you working on a new EP for yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, it's a weird thing as an artist, right? I know I have so much music that's unreleased, but it's like, what's the right time? Is this, the right vibe? Is this the impression I'm trying to give off right now? Do I have the fan base and the reception I want for those things, So I have an EP in the works. I mean, everything is basically done except for videos and cover art and, promotion, stuff like that.
That seems like the easy part.
That seems like the easy, maybe for you. For me, I mean, the music's always been the easy part for me.
That's actually putting all the beats together and everything, getting it mixed and like getting it right, get your vocals set right.
That's what I wake up in the morning for, though. So God. It's like.
So you are an artist. That's just you sleep and breathe it. Wow.
But I think basically what's gonna happen with that project, it's 10 songs. So I think inevitably with that project, there's probably about 4 of them are gonna be released as singles leading up to it.
Okay.
And then the 6 new songs that will go together with the 4 on the EP.
Have you already decided those 10 songs?
Yeah.
So can I ask you? I know you haven't. You don't know yet when. But of those 10 songs, which one you think the audience will just be like, oh my God, who is this guy about?
Hero. I have a song called Hero.
Okay.
It's not as heroic as it sounds. It's not necessarily that, but yeah, just I felt like that was the one specifically that just right from the get-go people would say, whoa, and grab their attention. I think the bars in there are unbelievable. I think the flow is something different than a flow that I usually go with.
Okay.
And I just think the song came together really well. So.
Do you have any inspiration for that particular song?
For that particular song, I mean, Jack Harlow is definitely an influence.
Okay.
In a lot of, I won't say how I write my songs, but how I approach the understanding to songs, about how I want to set them up, and about where the hook goes versus where the verse goes, and do I start the song with the hook or do I start the song with a verse, and how do you fit certain wordplay, stuff like that.
More the format.
Right.
Okay.
So
you don't follow the standard verse, B section, chorus, verse. You like the.
Yeah. I definitely don't stick to anything. I think it's generally the first thing that comes to me is the first thing I put, unless I feel like after I've written the next part that it should go first for a very specific reason. But it's usually not that way because it's just how it hits me the first time.
That's awesome, because so many producers try to follow the format because they think that's what's going to help them get their song placed.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're actually talking like an artist, you're talking like a free person, a free artist.
Yeah, try not to get boxed in,
I like that. And honestly, some people are so afraid to go that way because they're like, nah, man, this is the standard. I think that's what's up. I would love to hear Hero.
right after this camera turns off, you got it.
So I want to ask you, have you ever worked with any major artists or signed artists?
So at this point, no. I've worked with artists who have done great things, who have had great numbers. I have engineered a song that has over 500,000 accumulated streams between all platforms. Shout out Wave Montega. I've just had the opportunity to work with artists who are very similar minded in terms of it's all about the growth, and it's all about waiting your time and doing the work until it comes. And I've always wanted to work with people who will grow with me more than people who are already in the industry. And it's not that I don't want to work with people in the industry. It's just that, again, I would rather have that team and those people who we have this mutual belief in each other. So that's generally like my take on it. Obviously, if somebody if somebody I admire came to me and said, hey, can you sit in on a session, or hey, like I need an extra writer for this, of course I wouldn't say no, but those opportunities will come. And for now, I try to stay focused on just the people in my circle and what we're doing at the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What has been your best stage experience?
My best stage experience was definitely back at Rutgers, where I went to college.
Rutgers!
Shout out Rutgers.
Shout out.
Yeah. It was a basement show, actually, so nothing crazy, but I put the whole thing together.
Oh, wow.
I found the artists, I found all the equipment, I set everything up, I found the location. I won't say I invited everybody, it was a joint effort in that, but logistically I planned everything, so it felt very, I felt very accomplished in doing it. And it was a great turnout, and so I was in a fraternity. And we had at the time maybe 75 brothers or so.
Wow.
And I think about 60 or 65 of them were there. So that was such a cool experience. A lot of them knew some of my songs that I performed, which was cool too. Especially Wildin' Out, which I mentioned before. And yeah, it was just a great time. We had a lot of fun. The energy was really high. And I thought that everybody that performed did a really good job. So
That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
it was a lot of fun.
Yes, when it goes right,
When it goes right.
when you know people in the audience, when they're rooting for you, it's like electricity, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask on the other end. Have you ever had an experience on stage where you were like just out of your element? Where you were like just like, oh my God, the mic shut off, you forgot your words, anything, people jumped on stage. Have you ever had one of those situations?
I think I'm lucky for the most part. I guess I've learned something from my production teacher a while back that bad stories don't get names. Good stories get names, bad stories don't get names. So I'm not gonna name anybody here.
Okay.
But a lot of people at the show, at this same basement show, so it's actually a 2 for 1.
Oh, cool.
At this same basement show, a lot of people were really intoxicated.
Yeah.
So because it was my first time and because it was just a basement venue, right? I had the speaker set up on a table that was literally right next to the crowd. Like there wasn't any separation, right?
Wow.
So another performer, not me, but another performer, we each did 4 songs. So in his 4th song, he had like a very dramatic like interlude, right? Where he kind of started acting stuff out. And it was great, but the thing that happened was a girl who was really drunk accidentally stumbled and she hit the speaker, and so the speaker turned off. And this song was 5 minutes, and he was like 3 minutes in, so shit turns off, and then he's like, "Oh, I have to redo it."
No.
So, and it was a great song. Don't get me wrong, but just it was
Interludes, no.
Yeah, we weren't ready for that as a crowd. I don't think.
Especially the crowd, especially a drunk crowd.
Oh yeah.
They give you no kind of slack.
Yeah.
They'll tell you exactly what they feeling about you. Now let me ask, because you are a combo as a producer, as an engineer on the other side of, this artist life, what was your, if you've had one, what was your worst experience or not so great experience as a producer or as an engineer?
So I'll say again, bad stories don't get names, but when I was a sophomore, the summer after my sophomore year, I interned at a studio in the town over. And at that point, I was very new to engineering, but I was doing it every day. I was working hard on it. I was getting better. And I didn't have a lot of control over any of the sessions. I was just an intern. I would set up rooms. I would make sure like the acoustics were right. I would make sure the clients had everything they need. But I would sit in on a lot of these sessions just in case they needed something at the moment. And at some point I kind of wanted to, not take away their clients, but like, provide some value, right?
Yes,
to the people that were
absolutely.
coming in. And a lot of the people that were coming in were people who this place charged like $75 an hour. We're like late high school and early college kids that couldn't really afford it.
Right.
And I was the type of person at that point where I would do a mix and a master for $20.
Wow.
So at some point I started saying to people, look, like I'm not gonna pull you away, but if this isn't something that you feel like you can afford, like I'm just letting you know, like I'll do it for cheaper. You gotta hustle a little bit on the side. Right? So so at one point I came to my shift and they were already in the middle of a session and it was 3 guys. okay? And 2 of them had already rapped. So I came in there, and all I got to hear was the 3rd guy rapping, right? And he was amazing. He was unbelievable. So I was talking to them after he got out of the booth, and I was kind of saying the same stuff to them, right? And he was like, no, I'm good here, like I could afford it. But one of his friends was like, oh, like I actually can't, like, you know, let's link up. That was one of the biggest mistakes of my life, because I assumed that because his friend was amazing at rapping, that he was amazing at rapping. And when I tell you that the first song that we did was 3.5 minutes and not a single bar was on time,
Oh, wow.
for real, like it was, and I recorded it, and I had to edit it, and I had to master it for $20. Hours of just headache. It was, yeah.
Listen. Soliciting is very tricky already, but like I already know the hard part, and you being an artist yourself, so you know how it's supposed to be.
Do your research.
That's torture.
Do your research.
I'm so sad that happened. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that was a while ago. We've been fasting on to the bigger and better, you know.
That's what's up. I mean, and you know, I know there's a lot of stories that you could tell as somebody who's actually on the other side of it. So as you go through this journey, I pray that you have all of the strength and resilience that you need, because I'm leaving that to you.
I pray for us, all musicians, to have that.
I have one more question for you, Raimie, and this is one, you know, for all artists, producers, DJs, engineers, anybody who's trying to pursue their musical dreams. Do you have any advice as to what they could possibly do to make it and not give up on their dreams? Things that have worked for you?
I have a lot of advice, but I don't want to ramble on, and I definitely want to pick the best piece of advice that I can think of at the moment. I think it's this. I think whether you are just starting, whether you're 5 years in, 10 years in, whether you have had placements, Grammys, whether you've never gotten over 500 streams, whatever the next step is for you as an artist, people are going to tell you you can't do it. It's not possible. You're crazy. It doesn't make sense. Find something more realistic, right? The people who succeed, not just in music, but in every facet in life, are the people who get knocked down and get back up, and it sharpens them. It doesn't take away. It doesn't make them softer. It doesn't make them hate the things that are going on. It makes them understand that they need to work, you know, X amount of times harder to make it happen. And at the end of the day, again, it doesn't matter what point you're at. Somebody's going to tell you it's not possible, and it's up to you to make it possible.
I don't know how to say that better. I mean, I believe myself that if you want something, no just doesn't exist, you know, and people will give you advice. And people's advice is, I equate it to like the radio. You know, you can turn it down, you can turn it up. And I feel like depending on whatever situation you're in, if it's good advice and it's useful at the moment, turn it up.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not so good advice, but it helps you get your clarity right so that you see where you need to be better, turn it up. So I think that that's really awesome. You know, you got to follow through. And if you really want it, those no's and those not yet's don't exist as much.
Those people who hated you at the beginning are just going to tell everybody how they knew you, you know?
That's true, right? They won't tell them the bad stuff and all the crap they said about
exactly.
you. I went to school with him.
Yeah, we were
y'all
friends. We hung out a couple times.
That's what's up. Well, Raimie, I am excited that you found some time to get together and do this artist interview. I am excited and looking forward to your new EP whenever that drops. But in the meantime, Raimie has new music always posted. On this video, you will see all his social media links. I want you to check him out. Amazing artist, amazing, just his energy, his vibe, his style. You know, many people can compare artists to, you know, themselves to different artists. But what I like is to see the originality. I like the person being who they are, regardless of what the trends are in the moment, you know. And I think that's where a real artist steps into the limelight, is when they bring something new to the table. You know, so thank you for coming on Musicians on Gigs for my latest artist interview. Check them out, ladies and gentlemen.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.
Yeah.
It's on my last fuck.
Ain't got one left to give. How many times I gotta say you gotta die to live? Not talking physical, talking about that ego shit that leave girls treat friends on some hero shit. Check your demeanor shit. Cause what goes around comes around. Times that you fronted now, everyone you trusted now said fucking out like a fish out of water. You get served and gutted now. How many nights until it all work out? How long until I'm jaded and losing all my patience? I ain't trying to burn out. Only a matter of time before it shovels with the dirt now. This is inspiration of the mind. Cause I'm only 5'9", but the heights that I'm dreaming of be the opposite of